You both broke into the wrestling business in the Tennessee area. Bobby, you broke in NWA Mid-America. Ricky, you broke in CWA. What was it like breaking in?
Well, for me, it was
Dan, I will. All right, I got you there. I just wanted to hear we had to start.
Damn, we fucked that up, didn't we?
No, we always look at each other. I hit that, like a Family Feud.
Family Feud?
Hey, but Family Feud.
You broke in the wrestling business in Tennessee. Bobby, you broke in NWA Mid-America. Ricky, you broke in CWA. What was it like to break into the business?
Well, first of all, I came from a wrestling family. My dad was a professional wrestler. For matter of fact, for Nick Goulas, where Bobby broke into. When was that, Bobby? 1910? You broke into the business? I was a kid. I broke into business in 1977. But breaking into the business, coming out of the family, it was a dream come true. I worked hard all my life, being a second generation. I had the chance to work for Jerry Jarrett. Now, Bobby, you broke in for Nick Goulas,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Nick Gillis, Roy Welch, Harry Thornton,
Butch Thornton.
Butch Thornton.
Bobby was a great, matter of fact, that's a great inspiration. Bobby was a member of one of the greatest tag teams there were in that area, the Jet Set.
He's jealous.
Bobby Eaton and George Goulas. But to be matter of fact, but later on when I came there, we were the 6-man world tag team champions. But Da said I always had to do a job. That was Nick Goulas, because George was with us. Every time we dropped a fall, they had to beat me. Not George or
Matter of
Bobby.
fact, George fired him at a basketball game.
I sure did. Crazy stuff.
You both followed similar
Once
paths.
again, I saved his job there too.
You both followed similar paths that eventually led to UWF, where the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express feud was born. What are some of your favorite experiences from the UWF?
Well, that was Bill Watts' territory, and understanding going from starting out, which I did start out with Jim, but I went to Nick Goulas, and I went to Oklahoma while I wrestled for Leroy McGurk back in my younger days. Matter of fact, I have a poster back in my office back there from Amarillo from the late 70s when I wrestled out in Texas. But when I worked for Bill Watts, and I understand when you're in the territories and you go, Bill Watts is one of the biggest territories at the time, which I
I don't think it was a UWF at the time, was it?
it was Mid-South, I believe.
Mid-South
But it was
Boys.
the same one. You had the UWF World Heavyweight Champion from Bill Watts, because remember Brett Armstrong had it.
Yeah. I wasn't there then.
Well,
Those kids, they done got me thrown out, stooging on me.
No, I know it. Stooging on you. Bobby's, really, and Bobby is, we'll go down in history in our business too. He's the guy who invented the top rope, the lockup. You son of a bitch. All right, go ahead, buddy.
What was your opinion of Bill Watts?
Strict. I love working for him.
My opinion of Bill Watts, one of the greatest promoters at his time. And you got to understand, like Bobby just said, he was strict. And being strict, he didn't ask that much from you. He asked you to look like you was a professional athlete, which was great. And he asked you to be there an hour before the show started. Show started at 8, you had to be there at 7. Now, when he said 7, he meant 7, not 1 minute after 7. If it was a minute after 8, you got fined. But understand me, if you have a regular job that you work 40 hours and you got to clock in at 8 o'clock, you clock in at 8 o'clock. If you clocked in after that, you get docked. It's the same thing in any
And
business.
if you had a flat tire, you should have left early.
Oh, yes.
That's the thing.
I remember
You
when,
didn't have a flat
I tell you how strict he was. We was doing TV at Shreveport, and we had to drive from Alexandria to there, which is, about 150 miles?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Then it was all 2-lane highways, and Carl Fergie coming late. And he told Bill Watts, he says, a truck turned over to the road, 18-wheeler, and we couldn't go around it. He said, you should have known that truck was going to wreck yesterday.
Yeah.
So in other words, he's telling there's no excuses. I love Bill Watts. I got along with him great.
Who came up with the idea for the Rock and Roll Express Midnight Express feud?
Well, I guess it was between Bill Dundee and Bill Dundee was the booker. Bill Watts owned the territory, but you know, it was a natural thing. I would imagine it was the feud between the Expresses, Jimmy Cornette, you know, but you had the bookers there, and when I guess it did originate, it was just a natural feud, a natural angle.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, well, Bill Watts just took us from Jerry Jarrett.
Yes.
Put me and Dennis, you and Robert were already together.
Yes.
There wasn't a whole lot of talent he wanted, and there wasn't nobody that he had that Jerry Jarrett wanted, actually.
That was for sure. Oh, yeah, it sure was. You know, at the time, that's when, if you understand, this is when Bill Watts first come to Memphis, is when Vince started doing they started going into all the territories around, they all got mad, and
Yeah.
they made all the promoters come together. Well, at that time, Robert and I were working in Memphis. And like you said, they put you together when y'all come here with Jimmy.
Yeah.
But me and Robert were the Rock and Roll Express. And matter of fact, and they come in there, and Jarrett was working a deal with Bill Watts, you know, going to trade talent. And Bill Watts seen us. And he told, and another thing which is good, we were playing second fiddle to the Fabulous Ones. But Bill Watts liked us. And we went to, Jerry Jarrett did a deal to trade him, but we both went down for Bill Watts for 6 months. And when our 6 months was up, which he kept his word, he sent us back, but me and Robert walked right in the dressing room and gave her notice. And 2 weeks later, we went back to Louisiana. You know, sure did.
Ricky, when you came to UWF, you were already partnered with Robert Gibson. Bobby, when you came to UWF, you were put into a tag team with Dennis Condrey. Who decided to pair you up with each of your partners?
Bill Watts put me and Dennis together. Dennis and Norvell Austin and Randy Rose were together first as the Midnight Express for Jerry Jarrett, and then they had a falling out with the company. And Dennis stayed. Randy Rose got let go, I guess. Norvell stayed and teamed up with Coco Ware. So, you know, just kind of twiddling our thumbs. And Bill Watts called Jerry.
And they sent into there. Seemed like they did Robert and I. But were we in there first or were y'all there? Because I know when we went into UWF, we did an angle with the Russians. And no, we were there first,
Yeah.
because then they brought y'all
Yeah.
in with the Midnight Express. It was a natural angle.
When you first started working with your partners, did you have good chemistry?
Okay, with Robert?
Yeah.
Yes. You know, once you learn this business and once you've been in this business for a long time, it's a lot of things, you know, and you had to have good chemistry too, because in our day, especially Bill Watts, you know, it's like this, you know, Bobby's a good friend of mine, but when I worked the territories, only time I seen him was in the ring. We didn't, or unless we did TV and you were back there, our business was really strict, really kayfabe. And nobody used to ask us all the time, you know, just like nowadays, you go to wrestling matches, and it makes me wonder sometimes. You see all these guys going over their matches, damn, you think they're gonna do a 4-hour Broadway or something. It's over every move. And see, we wasn't able to do that. It's not even having chemistry with Robert, but it's having chemistry with the heels. You know, we all work together, man. When the Rock and Roll Express met the Midnight Express, not only the names, the expresses, but the chemistry that we had with Jimmy Cornette. Here, Robert and I are the young all-American baby faces at the time, and there's Bobby and Dennis with Cornette could get heat with anybody in the world. That's, God, I mean, just looking at Jimmy. If Jimmy was in here right now, one of us would be cussing him. It's just the way Jimmy is. And I remember Jerry Jarrett told him, I said, Jimmy Cornette, if you get as much heat with the fans as you can the boys, He said, we're gonna make a lot of money with you, and that's exactly what they did, because Jimmy Cornette was the guy that just took pictures around Bree. Yeah, we had great chemistry, thank you.
Bobby, why was the Midnight Express paired with Jim Cornette?
I guess Jerry actually wanted to get him out of the territory.
What he couldn't do
his
before.
mom.
Can I,
His mom and Jimmy's mom.
Okay, and another thing is, and don't get me wrong, when you're a heel team, it's great to have a manager that can talk for you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Jimmy was a great talker. He got the point over good. And Jimmy knew how to do it to keep the heat on all three of them, not just on one person. And then you gotta have a good talker. I tell my boys that, even the ones that break the business, I don't care how good of a worker you are. You know, 90% of drawing money is that microphone.
Everybody in the business has some kind of story about Jim Cornette. What are some of your favorite stories about Cornette?
Oh, about me? I'm gonna go first on this one.
Go ahead.
You know, I watched Jimmy Cornette. To understand me, Jimmy Cornette was a guy that stood around the ring, that took pictures, and all of a sudden he come into this business, you know, talking. I remember when he first started in Memphis and coming up, and he did. But the business was different back then. You know, you had your believers and non-believers, and to me, I never stopped believing. I love this business so much, and I believe in what I do and understand. But Cornette's out there, and he don't know. You know, and I watched Jimmy. Jimmy wasn't a very, you know, he didn't work out. He wasn't a varsity wrestling club. Jimmy was scared of his own shadow at that time. But I watched him get his ass whipped so many times that he learned to fight up around the ringside. You remember the times I lay there, that one eye open and watch. And I watched him. I guess that's one of my stories about him. I watched him just get his ass whooped so many times. This is enough of this shit. He just learned to fight. He sure did, and it was great.
We fought back.
I know you got some good stories on Jimmy. Tell me one.
I got a bunch of good stories from Corey. You know.
Well, tell me one. Tell me a
What you
key.
live with the boys?
Tell me a
with-
key.
With Marks.
Tell me one with the boys.
Boys. Well, you know, he got slapped 2 or 3 times down there.
Yes, I did.
You know, Bill Watts didn't like him anyway. He liked him when he got to know him and see how much money he made him.
Oh, then you loved him.
Loved him.
Yeah. Okay.
But Jimmy because he did his job and he could out-talk anybody there in the locker room.
Yes.
Everybody else.
Some of the boys, what Bobby's saying, some of the boys, he pissed him off. That's the reason I was saying earlier about having heat. If you get enough heat with the fans, you do the boys. You know, I seen Dennis Condor slap the shit out of him. Buddy Landale slapped the shit out of him. But, you know, it's just different things. Man, to me, I thought Jimmy's one of the best minds in this business. Knew what we're talking about. Nothing I wouldn't say to him. Okay.
Jim Cornette wasn't the only person that the Midnight Express was paired up with. Big Bubba Rogers also played a part in the Express. What did you think of Bubba, and what are some of your favorite memories of him?
I love Big Bubba. You know, he was a guy that come in and did TV for TBS, TV for Crockett.
Ray Trader, Big Bubba. He was a job boy on TV, but he was a big old guy. And not a matter of fact, Ray went on to have a great career by himself after it was over.
Yeah.
Big Bubba, you know what? One of the reasons I think they put Big Bubba out there with him was because they had so much heat. And you know, Jimmy Cornette, dude. I mean, you can't believe I see him mug Jimmy Cornette out there on the floor. They mug him, jump over him. They had to have somebody out there on the floor with Jimmy, and Ray fit that part. It's not only with us, because y'all was involved with, you know, with Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors, all when you got NWA. And dude, I'm telling you, when you're out there on the floor, the marks are jumping. You got to have somebody out there with them. And I believe that's the reason they put Bubba there.
Yeah.
What do you think some of the best parts of the beginning of your feud in the UWF was?
Some of the best parts. I love the part when we rubbed Jimmy Cornette's face in the cake.
Yeah.
That was real good. That was the thing where y'all was out there celebrating.
Yeah.
And Bobby and them would act like they were drinking.
Well, it's champagne. I ain't never drank champagne before. I turned it up like Diet Coke here, damn thing just went all over my neck. I got choked.
Yeah, but then walking around like you were drunk, that was funny.
I buzzed.
In 1985, the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express joined Jim Crockett Promotions, and soon after, your feud was reignited. What are some of your memories of working in JCP?
Same, good memories, all good. You know, we just repeated ourselves actually. A lot of.
Hold yourself down, don't get too anxious here. Remind me once the Darling
Hold me down here in a
brothers.
minute.
Bobby,
Time out.
remind me of the Darling brothers here. Just don't show so much excitement. All right. Okay. They, you know what? My memory was when we first came in. We got some in Dallas when we went in. We all were already there
Yeah.
because we come in and understand that being smart about our business and being a booker, you got to get your baby faces over, and you got to get the heels over with their heat. So when we first came in, that's when I got to say this: Dusty put the Russians over real good. You know, Ivan Koloff, Nikita Koloff, and Barry Dorso. You know, as a matter of fact, they even beat Dusty and Maggie. And then when Robert and I come in, and understand when we just came right into the territory on our first night, dude, we won the World Tag Team Championship. That was one of my memories, but when we beat them, then we had to go through our whole runs with everybody. And Bobby and Dennis and Cornette were beating the other baby faces until we met. That was the great experience. Maybe my first time to winning the World Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And then we killed the business when I had to put Bobby over. But I'm just kidding. James, I told him today I've been thinking how I can beat him 3 straight without hurting myself.
He really wants to do that.
Okay.
After the feud ended, the Midnight Express was placed in a feud with the Road Warriors. What are your opinions of the Road Warriors?
Good guys, two big guys. You know, mostly they're high spots with press slamming you. You know, for us, taking bumps. Jim Cornette hit me in the back too, so Then we had they were really excited. People were having a scaffold match. Well, they got them real excited.
You just talked about a scaffold match. Tell us about what happened in the match.
Same thing.
Well, you asked him what the finish was. You know how many matches we had since then. Can you remember the finish? I didn't think you could.
Cornette fell off the scaffold, hurt his knee.
Well,
Yeah,
that was
that was
with us.
personal.
That was with us when that happened. You know, I've seen a lot of things. Jimmy Cornette, that rope hair hit you.
Then we come out with a flying damn elbow.
But you still bleach your hair.
That's supposed to be.
No. Hey, what? I love you.
Neither one of you ever been involved in any other scaffold matches?
Thank you for us. Only ones I had was with the Midnight Express, and we started them out in Louisiana. We did them in all major towns there, and before we came up to the North Carolina Jim Crockett Promotions. You know, we went through. I never forget the first one we ever had. That's our first time, and I'm scared of heights. And I'm not kidding. And I remember the first one we had, and I have it on tape somewhere. It's in Shreveport, Louisiana. And this thing is so high that, you know, after you have a few, you get adjusted. But our first one, the scaffold was about this wide, and it had big old long spikes on it, about that high, for the real spikes. You remember that? So, geez, man, I'm holding on to it. I'm cut all up, and I'm scared to death, and then I'm too busy holding on. So then I got Bill Dundee then to put 2 of them up there, and then put the wooden in it. But then it was so slick, you couldn't do it. So I'll never forget this. I went and bought some belt dressing to go on the belts in your cars, and I sprayed it on top of it. And I remember that night we got up there and did this concrete up there. He's going, what the hell's on this thing? Didn't know I put belt dressing on it, keep them sliding there. He going, funny. That was funny.
Ricky, around the time that Bobby was working with the Road Warriors, you were working with Ric Flair. What do you guys think about Flair?
What I think about Flair, my opinion is, and everything, to me, Ric Flair was, and I'll say this, he was the real world champion out of all of them. One thing I admired about Rick, if you paid to see him, I don't care, he gave you your money's worth. If you was working with Flair in a house show, understand me, if you didn't go 60 minutes time limit, you went 57 minutes in the match. And that's what I admired about Rick. He gave the people what they paid for. To me, you have a lot of world champions, but Ric Flair was the real world heavyweight champion out of all of them. That's my opinion. What do you think, Bob?
You sit right on the head.
You still hot at it?
Kind of.
You mad at me, Bobby? You know, Bobby told me earlier, he said, Ricky, if you take the T out of your name would be Ricky Morton. And I said, Bobby, if you put an Eaton in your name would be Bobby Eaton. What do you think?
Say hello.
My best friend, you know that? And before we get started here, I want to say something. You know, in our business, we, you know, you do break in earlier, it was tough. But see, me and Bobby are right around the same age. We all broke into business together and having friends. And in our day, it ain't like it is the business today. Back then, we depended on each other to make a living. It's not now what you make. I mean, we missed out on all the big money. That's what I hate. But being friends, but we've been friends, what, 40 years?
Yeah.
And I guess we were young breaking into business. And that's what I try to tell like our students here at the School of Morton. You guys here together, get your bond going with each other. Because one day you'll look back and think about a lot of the things. But one thing that I do have, and I'll say this for one time and one time only, my friendship with Bobby Eaton. I absolutely adore and love him.
Yeah, love you too.
And you know that. Could give me some sugar.
I
Why?
work for everybody.
Why? Go ahead.
Ricky, is it true that you could have won the NWA championship and went on to become one of the top wrestlers in Jim Crockett Promotions if you left Robert?
Oh, that's a neat question. Tell you the truth, yeah, buddy, I was. That's when the heat really started coming down on us. They wanted to, and I was going to say this, you know, you got the part of the time that when you get over, you start getting heat from the office of top boys. I did a thing with Flair, and a lot of people don't know this, and they were going to put me over. They was going to fire Robert, and I would not let them do that. They told me Robert couldn't be there. You look where look where Shawn Michaels left Marty these days. You don't even see him no more, hear from him. But I couldn't do that. And they thought they was going to piss me off, so they put the belt on Ronnie Garvin, but I didn't care. I didn't care, you know. It might have changed a lot in my life. But, you know, let me tell you, but I look back with no regrets. Robert and I, my opinion, as being baby, I think we're the greatest babyface tag team ever. And I did, because we could do it all. You know, we was the babyface. So the things. I mean, you had great tag teams. You know, don't get me wrong. You had the big guys like the Road Warriors. If they would actually be in a true babyface tag team, I think Robert and I were the best ever in this business.
In 1987, Dennis Condrey left Jim Crockett Promotions. What were your reactions to this?
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. You know what, and I never asked, and I really don't know, but you know what, and it's great. That's how come our business is so good, and this happened to me in another situation too. We was wondering, I mean, Dennis just left. Never knew the reason why, never asked. But they brought Stan Lane in. And dude, let me tell you, when they brought Stan in with you, you're not going to say I have my hats off to Stan.
No.
Never missed a beat.
No.
Never missed a beat. And then, you know, what was good about that, because Stan was that, and he is, he's a good looking man. I ain't never said that, he's a good looking man.
Yeah.
But he fulfilled that spot, you know, sweet Stan Lane. serious. Just a good-looking guy. He come right in there. He could work his butt off, and you feel. I mean, it was a reaction that I didn't know how to react to because I didn't know what was going on. And at that time, the boys respected each other. I never asked him. Never knew why he left.
Never asked him either. Everybody's following you.
Yeah, never did.
Did he tell anybody that he was leaving?
Nope. Did he?
Never told me. Never
I
told
think he just pulled a Houdini. He disappeared.
So I see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'll see him a couple years later.
After Condrey left, Stan Lane took his place. How did he get put into the Express?
Dusty, he was working for Florida Wrestling there. Well, I don't know if Tim Crockett owned at the end or not. It's right in the middle of our feud. Like I said earlier, Stan was just that good-looking guy, great worker, great body, and to replace Dennis, he had to throw somebody in there. You know, I've seen that same thing done before with Stan Lane. When he left the Heavenly Bodies at Smoky Mountain, they brought Jimmy Del Rey in. But when you got somebody that can fill those boots, and Stan Lane was one of them guys that could do that. It was no problem. I mean, I just thought it was just another chemistry thing where him and Bobby hit it right off with Jimmy Cornette.
Ricky, during this time, you and Robert were working with Manny Fernandez and Rick Root. Did you enjoy working with them?
Oh yes, I enjoyed working with them, but you got to understand that the same thing happened right in the middle of that day. We would work with them when we dropped the belts to them, and next day they were gone. Yeah, you know, and took off with the world belts too. Rick Rude and Manny Fernandez. They just Rick Rude, I know, went to WWE, and then Manny, he just, you know, abracadabra, poof, he was gone. He left. Yeah, I enjoyed working with him. Manny Fernandez is a great worker. Rick Rude was a great worker. I worked with Manny's way before the media times too, especially out of Texas. Bobby, need to shut up. You talk too much. And Rick and Morton sitting in on you. All right, CJ.
You don't know what that is.
Huh? Come here.
That's full Nelson to you.
Huh?
It's full Nelson to you.
I'm glad I got that, because most of the time it's Ricky, I'll give it to you. Ricky, I'll give it to you. Go ahead, bud. What's the next question?
Manny Fernandez is considered one of the toughest guys in the business, and a lot of people have got stories about him. Do either one of you have any?
Any stories about him? About what, being bad, being tough?
Yeah, any of it.
Well, no, I know a funny story about him, but I never got into treated into that. I mean, I gave him we had to wrestle outside one time. It was cold. Good God. It's one of them Saturday nights where it's freezing outside, and gave him that gut shot, knee lift, slapped him on the back. You ever been slapped real hard on the back in cold weather? He's got like a 4 or 5 second delay.
Yeah.
I slapped him on the back. Dude, he jumped. Look here, he stood there for a minute. All of a sudden, he jumped out. I'd be there. It was funny.
Yeah.
He chased me all over that football field, trying to get me back. Too quick for him, though. Stick and move. Manny Fernandez is a great worker.
After the Rock and Roll Express ended their feud with Fernandez and Rude, you started to work together again in the angle where the Midnight Express attacked Ricky and injured him. What happened during this part of your feud?
It's that when they attacked me and we dropped the belts to Tully and Arn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it sure was. That's when Gabe came out there. One of them nights he didn't know how to work. Hit me with that chair from behind. It was just a thing, you know, we had to, it's just another angle we went into. Matter of fact, it's where Robert threw the towel in during the match. We gave the towels to Tully and Arn. And then it rehashed our little thing with y'all to go in a different direction. Tully were going with the Four Horsemen at the time. I mean, Dusty was going with the Four Horsemen at the time. So that's our business. That's how you work angles, go into this, get out, trying to ixnay us, trying to cool us off. He couldn't do it. Bobby couldn't do it. I wouldn't put Bobby over, that's why. But I'm just, all right, brother.
Bobby, in 1988, the Midnight Express won the NWA World Tag Team titles from Martin Anderson and Tully Blanchard and then turned babyface. Talk about why you were turned babyface and how it got over the fans.
I can't remember exactly. Tully and Arn were leaving. I can't remember why they turned babyface.
That's when they went to WWE, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, that's a great one.
Well, that's all I got.
That's all you got? Okay, I think the next 6 questions, yes, no, yes, no. I know.
Bullshit.
What's bullshit, Bobby?
James?
I know it. That was, for them leaving to go to WWE,
Yeah.
they turned
They
Bobby
just-
babyface.
go.
Me and Robert done gone, we done got our notice. Why?
Not too soon, either.
Well, I'll be damned, Bobby. What's that, Diet Coke?
Whiskey.
Whiskey? Bobby told me he's on a diet. He's got, you see, he ate 4 sandwiches and drinking Diet Coke. Come on, Gabe. What's the next question?
During this time, Jim Hurd was the WCW president. What do you guys think about Hurd?
Well, let's see. Let's think of a great tag team, Bobby. How about the Ding Dongs from Belleville?
The
Damn.
Hunchbacks.
Huh?
The Hunchbacks.
The Hunchbacks. Who was the
Hunchbacks took a bad
Hunchback?
deal. They couldn't get beat.
Oh, that's right. The Hunchback. Yeah, because their backs are round. Couldn't pin them. That's it. You know what I...
Ding dong had the damn friggin' bells all up there.
You know, it's like that. Back then, you know, I don't know where they come from, Hurricane Corona. We called it a front head scissors. And matter of fact, I did that with you on the show. And Jim Hurd called me in the office. I said, man, Jim Hurd wants to see you. I'm thinking, damn, I've been working hard. I might get my little push now. I walked in his office and he asked me how come I did the Frankensteiner. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
He asked me, what are you doing the Frankensteiner for? You can't do that. I said, what the hell are you talking about? Look, I got me all built up, and boy, he stuck that pin right in that balloon.
He didn't know what it was anyway.
Well, I know. He had much business being the boss man is me flying a damn space shuttle. Had no business being
Hey,
there.
that was his idea, the Hunchbacks and the Ding Dongs.
Yeah. Does that tell you anything?
We had a bunch of Ding Dongs around the territory. Not the ones with bells on them.
Bobby, I know Jim
You know
Cornette
me?
had some words about Jim Hurd that I'm not gonna say, but and he told a lot of it to you. Can you tell us what he said about him?
I don't use some kind of word in this, son. All the time here does.
What?
I mean, he's got every cuss word there is. He didn't like him.
Yeah, Cornette called him a goddamn goof, idiot. I might as well say it the way it is.
And they wonder why he wouldn't use it.
Well, I know it. Wonder what? Jim Hurd had no business in our business. He ruined our business, matter of fact. You know, people that depended on it. It's like you didn't know nothing of history. Like people like us that paid the way for these guys, and he come in there like we was just pieces of shit. You know, and that's one of the downfalls of that territory, of that. I mean, I guarantee you they lost a lot of money while Jim Hurd was in control.
After Midnight Express turned babyface, you were put in the angle with the original Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose. Bobby, what was it like after teaming with Dennis to be working against him in a match?
I'd worked against him a bunch of times before. For Nick Goulas. Mid-Atlantic
Stretch
area.
it out just a little bit more, straighten it a little bit.
I've worked with him a lot.
Stretch that, Bobby.
Security?
Scared me. Look here, I quit drinking till we did this damn interview. Somebody give me a drink. Bobby, it's like anything else in our business. Am I doing all right?
You're doing pretty good.
I'm gonna get behind you. Your mouth move. Now talk. Look here.
Ricky
All right.
sucks.
We like anything else, just working. It's what we do. Like Bobby said, what was it like working against him? Well, hell, he worked with him way before that, many a times. And the same thing with me. It's like before Robert and I became partners. I worked with Robert several different times. You know, for Nick Gillis, Jerry Jarrett, him and Ricky. Golly, Ricky.
Everybody worked for Nick Gillis somewhere down there. Jerry Jarrett worked for Nick Gillis.
Yes, sure did.
When you guys were working with the original Midnight Express, Paul E. Dangerously was their manager. What do you think about him?
Paulie?
Yeah.
Good guy.
No,
He don't know what that
it's
is.
a gorilla hand. That's a gorilla. But what
Start that, I don't know if you can lead to. Paulie's a good manager, good guy to have on your team. You see what a
yes,
good job he does now.
yes, no, yes, no. Hell yeah, he get a big paycheck every week. Yeah, he's one of the few. Paulie was great. Had a good mind for our business too. He owned ECW. From there, he went on to do it here at Budola. Paulie, just like Cornette, started out in the business like everybody else did. He got a love for it.
How was the Midnight Express and original Midnight Express angle received by the fans?
I don't know.
Let me answer that for you.
Answer for me.
Good.
You want to go ahead and look further.
You know, I'm not trying to be that, but you know, a lot of things you can't remember. I wasn't there at the time, but I imagine it was pretty good. It was a good Bobby.
We had good matches, you know.
Who was the lady face?
We were.
Oh,
Where you
where's
standing me?
Well, I bet they got over.
Because that,
I bet they got over like a fart in a scuba tank. One.
One we could make them baby face just as easy.
Yeah.
Soon after the angle began, Dennis Condrey left the company again. Do you know why this happened?
I have no idea.
Good night, sweetheart. It's time to go. Bob already beat that. Come here, Bob.
We don't know why he left.
Huh? Just sell something out there. Just sell anything. Too close to
China plus China, yeah.
Ricky, soon after your feud with the Four Horsemen ended, the Rock and Roll Express left WCW for the CWA. What kind of stuff happened when you were in the CWA then?
But that was a long time ago. But, is that my phone? Hey, if that's Vince calling, tell him I can't make Monday Night Raw. I can't be there. Me and Bobby's got this damn interview to do. We ain't got time to put with that shit. You know what? And it's, see that I have to go back and look. I know one time that when we went there, we did a thing with the PG-13, but I think, you know what I do remember? We did an angle with Iceman, King Parsons, and Brickhouse Brown. Business was good, yeah. Even after that, Jerry Lawler and all and Bill Dundee, they took care of that territory when it was one. You know, it's one of the last ones, and on Saturday morning when you had an hour and a half or 2 hours. Was it 2 hours? Live on TV. I believe it's 2 hours live on TV. Free, because the ratings were so good.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's unbelievable how that territory was. And then when we went back, we already worked there. We knew us. We came right in, and we did a couple angles and did pretty good. Then we went back to Jim Crockett.
Bobby, after your feud with the original Midnight Express was cut short, you started to work for Paulie Dangerously's new team, the Samoan SWAT team, and the new Freebirds. What was it like working with these two teams?
With the small SWAT team?
And the new Freebirds.
Michael Hayes, Jimmy Garvin.
Oh, yeah. Easy? Yeah. Easy? Cut?
Take two. Go
I
ahead.
mean, you had Michael Hayes, you know, he wanted to get the heat on you, get the heat on you, you get the heat on you. On the way home, the rest here, get the heat on you.
Yeah.
You have to cut that, nip that in the bud. Had Steve Williams on our team, we nipped it real quick.
I understood that. The rest of the world didn't, Bobby.
Yeah.
You want to explain that?
They want to beat you, then hang around. like these guys are. Hang around, look at you. Oh, you got beat. Usually when that guy beats you, especially
If you're a good heel, if you're a heel, beat you, leave. Get out of the ring, get back out of there like you want. But they won't beat you, then do an interview on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did it 1 or 2 times. In Boston, hey, wake up. In Boston.
See, that's CJ.
CJ, in Boston, that's when the shit hit the fan. They beat us, hung around, we chased them back to the locker room. Steve Williams had a cheer and beat that piss out of them. They, like
The Freebirds?
Yeah, they just stood there.
Oh, yeah, I got you. I had to spark them up and everything.
Bobby, you also worked with the Dynamic Dudes. What's your opinion of Johnny Ace and Shane Douglas?
Those guys had more heat than all heels in the locker room. I mean, they had
Who did I have with, Bobby? The fans or the
Fans.
Bulls? I did that.
Yeah. I mean, they had big sheets like you have a football game, 14 full. They had some other words to say about them.
You been French like that?
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Uh-oh, you putting it on me. All right.
I mean, it's just,
Ricky, in 1990, you came back to WCW. Why did you come back to it? Bobby, soon after Ricky returned to WCW, the Midnight Express separated when Jim Cornette and Stan Lane left the company. Why did they leave?
Jim Hurd, and they wanted a little time off. And plus, we were under contract.
Did your contract run out?
No.
Oh, y'all were still there?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they may have run out, but I got renewed because they were leaving.
Yeah, that's when Jimmy came up from Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah.
Ricky, after you returned to WCW, Robert Gibson injured his knee. When he recovered, you turned on him and joined the York Foundation. What was it like to work heel for the first time in a long time?
Well, what was it like? And a lot of people got to understand this. What it was like was having a job. I was lost in the shuffle. It had nothing to do with me, and it's because at that time you had, all these brain surgeons they had working for them were trying to go this way and that way, and none of it was working, and I just wanted a job. I did turn heel. Matter of fact, Robert was out, he tore his ACL and was gone for a year, and I needed a job. That was the only thing that was there. It was an opportunity to still get paid, because I did this for a living. I didn't have a contract. I got paid by what I worked every night. Never did have a contract. Never did have one. And so it was a job for me. I enjoyed being with it. Terry Taylor was a great worker. Alexandra York, which is Terry Reynolds, she was, to me, great. It was a great little gimmick we had going on, but it's just like anything else. It started to get over, and it stayed. When you start to get over, but it wasn't in their plans for it to do, so they just cut it right off.
When you were in the York Foundation, you got teamed with wrestlers like Curtis Hughes, Terry Taylor, and Tommy Rich. How did you like working with them?
Tommy Rich is another one that's lost out there in the shuffle. One of the greatest baby faces ever in this business, and nobody ever gives him any recognition anymore. At his time, he was the Hulk Hogan of his time in this business. I never seen a guy, and if the guys go back, and what really kills me, like a lot of the young guys today, they don't. I asked somebody the other day, man, talking about Tommy. He didn't know who Tommy Rich was. I mean, Jesus Christ, slap him. I mean, this just stays in our business, and and Terry and I, we did a angle with Curtis Hughes and Todd Champion. Both of them just great. Curtis Thompson, yeah, okay. Both of them at the time were just greener than owl shit. When you're used to working with people that you have natural chemistry with, and I'm not knocking, I'm not saying bad things about them, but they just didn't know our business. They were stuck in a position they shouldn't have been in. But Terry and I, we carried the load. When you, like the chemistry between the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, it's because we all could work. We all knew what we were doing. It wasn't about if I look good in this pose or that pose, or how hard I could slam you through the ring. I told Todd Champion that one time. did something. I said, Todd, if you slam me a little bit harder, I'll go climb through the fucking ring. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys, learn how to work. You know, this is a business.
I'll tell you what one of them guys told me one time. I won't say which one it is. One of them said, if it wasn't for so-and-so being here, I'd be the biggest guy in the territory. Who gives a shit? Still can't work.
Bobby, you didn't give that away. That wasn't Todd Champion.
I wasn't him at all.
That wasn't him at all, was it? Give you 3 guesses. His initial starts with TC, not CJ.
Care how big you are. Learn to work.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Bobby, for the first time since 1979, you were a singles wrestler. You eventually turned babyface. You won the television title and even pinned Ric Flair in a match. You then started a feud with the York Foundation, which Ricky was a part of. Talk about this.
I just stuck with him everywhere which way we go, you know. And I put him over against the business.
Look here.
So,
But Bobby lied to me. We see now. He don't even remember that shit. He's just trying to make up what
I'll make up some shit.
We had a good little run. You know what? Until you mentioned that, I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
But I remember back now. I'm not as senile as Bobby is, you know. And
James, help me out up here.
It's just the way it is. But it's just another, you know, it was just another day we had a job. I had, you know, like Bobby, it's the same thing. We just switched roles in it, you know. And I became Bobby. I didn't sell for him. And won.
We just did what they told us to do, you know. Getting the check.
Come here, man.
You know, what else we could do.
Yeah, but we just wanting to get paid. Lost your show. What up, bud? Go ahead, next question.
Ricky, in 1992, you left WCW for USWA. Talk about your time there.
I left,
You left WCW and went to USWA.
okay, back down in Memphis.
Yeah.
You know, buddy, I worked for some, you know, somebody asked me the other day, man, so I see you the other day at CWF wrestling. When the hell's that at? I don't know. But I wrestled so many ones. It was another thing.
Don't give me a Bobby answer.
Well, where is it at?
Huh?
Don't give me a Bobby answer.
Well, I don't remember.
What you been feeding this boy here? Science?
Shotgun shells. You know, dude, I can't remember. The only thing I remember is that I was working for, back to then, because that's in between territories and it dropped. It's when I was at, when Cornell kept trying to get me to go to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and I finally left WCW and went there. Okay.
Bobby, later that year, you joined Paulie Dangerous's Dangerous Alliance. Also in the group were Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, and Steve Austin. Did you enjoy working with them?
Who now said again? Father Time messed me up.
Larry Zbyszko, Rick Rude,
Oh.
Arn Anderson, and Steve Austin.
That was good. I like working with them. Good, all good workers. You get the push.
Can we just stretch it just a little
Well,
bit?
that's all you're getting.
That's all you get. Hey, he said, that's all you're getting, man. Well, what, Bobby?
Bobby don't last
We got to put a little time in on this damn video. What do you think? Huh? All the fans out there looking at us, thinking about what we're doing. You know, we're coming here live from the School of Morton. This is, don't say School of Eaton. Just say School
We'll be
of
after
Morton.
tonight.
Will it really? You know, me and Bobby are having a wrestling match tonight. And I know this is kind of a question thing, but the fans are out there because we're filming this. It's gonna be your last wrestling night, isn't it?
It'll be my last match.
Huh? Why ain't it, Bobby?
Oh, I bought the system.
Hey, if I didn't have bills to pay, it'd be my last match. I'll tell you that.
People won't know when your last match is gonna be anyway.
Well, I know that's.
They'll pay your bills for you.
Huh?
Get you out of the ring.
I know that. Somebody asked me, "Would you see Bobby Eaton's last match?" I said, "I hope the hell it was." I don't know. What's the next question, CJ?
In the Dangerous Alliance, you feuded with Sting and eventually participated in a War Games match. What do you think was the highlight of your time in the Dangerous Alliance, Bobby?
The whole thing, I got hurt there at the end, the War Games. I tore my shoulder out. Still,
Oh, did you really?
yeah.
Does it still hurt? It hurt this shoulder here. It hurt that shoulder.
And then Paulie took me to the hospital emergency room. He became Superman. Stop at red lights and people come out and wash your windows. We all get up out of here.
What town was that in?
Live TV.
Oh, really? Oh,
I
really?
felt about this far. That's all I felt. Ricky Steamboat ball people.
Really?
It popped out. They contacted Larry Sabisco and he said, "It's not time. It's not time."
Yeah.
Or she did. He's hurt.
Did we get that out there on TV?
Yeah. Larry didn't want to get in the ring to do the job.
Oh, I got you. Wow.
After stints in WCW, you both went to Jim Cornette's Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Bobby, you joined Stan Lane and Tom Pritchard as the Heavenly Bodies. Ricky, you reformed the Rock and Roll Express and feuded with the Heavenly Bodies. Talk about your experience in the Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Wow. And I say this, you know, after being around at WCW and seeing how they just turned our business into a total abortion down there in that area with those guys, to go to Smoky Mountain Wrestling and be back in a territory that was small, and that was,
Let Bill Watson had set that up too.
what's that? Smoky
As
Mountain?
far as when I went there, Bill Watson set that up.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Herb was already,
Yeah.
you know.
But, you know, they just really just totally, you know, I was disgusted at the business for a while, but still is on that. But when I went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I got back to where I enjoyed working again.
Yeah.
Being in a small territory. As a matter of fact, if you understand here, I'm at my school right here, right out in Chuckey, Tennessee. I stayed here in this same area for all these years. I never moved away. I loved Smoky Mountain Wrestling. We had a great crew at the time that was going on, and a lot of people didn't know. You know, Black Crow, the rock group, they're the one that helped Jimmy, their managers and stuff with that territory. They're the ones who were one of the big sponsors for it. Just getting back into angles, and that's when we had our feud with the Heavenly Bodies. Remember, and they brought you in with them, and then which we brought in. That's when our Anderson came in before he went to WWE back up there.
Yeah.
And it was great. I mean, we had a little territory that we set on fire around here. Fire. Tommy, wildfire. Okay.
Bobby, after Smoky Mountain Wrestling, you returned to WCW. You started out working tag teaming with various partners, including Chris Benoit and Steve Kern. Talk about working with Benoit and Kern.
I like working with both of them. Chris Benoit was one hell of a worker. But they didn't know what to do with him when he got it. He was in Japan. Him, Dave Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, a couple more guys.
Just stretching a little bit more. Come on.
I come back to Dusty and said, "Look, have you seen them guy work? You know, well, they're just sitting over there only working in Japan."
What does he say?
I said, "Nothing really. Another question for him." But he brought them in. He wanted to bring them. But they were over, you know, working their ass off in Japan.
Keep talking, Bob.
That's it. I like both of them
Keep
guys.
talking.
Especially Chris Benoit. He hadn't been nowhere.
Yeah, but he's a hell of a worker.
Yeah, damn right. Machine.
Yes. Yes, no, and yes. Thank you.
Ricky, after a feud with New Jack and Mustafa in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, you started wrestling on the independent circuit. During this time, you started mentor David Cash, who a week ago at the time of this filming, you wrestled in one of his final matches. What are your thoughts on David Cash?
Well, first of all, let's get back to where you was going. That's when I left and went on the independent circuit. No, that's when Jimmy Cornette fired my ass.
Why did he fire you?
Why did he fire me? It was one of those drama scenes with one of the boys and his wife, and my boys, my wife, and I was wrong. He fired me. The territory closed down. Does that tell you anything? So I went to on the independent circuit. No, David Cash, man, I met David just like I did a lot of guys, like Chase Owens and a lot of I see a guy in the business that's trying so hard but not going nowhere because he had no way to direct him. And if anybody out there really know, you know David, you know, he's a little smart ass, you know, he don't. he's hard to get to know, but David's great. He just wanted this business so bad, and I was out there, so I just took him with me and started working with him a lot, talking to him a lot, setting him down, making him understand. It's just not about, you know, in a lot of business, a lot of guys don't understand this. You see a lot of you guys coming in, they watch Monday Night Raw, and they think that's what it's about. You know, how'd my drop kick look, or how my hurricane run look. Well, who gives a shit? You know, they don't understand that our business is about putting asses in seats. It's about what can I do to make these people come back to see me? And I make this point all the time. It's like right now, when you got WWE, they come to your town once a year, and most of the time, it's not even sold out, and that's once a year. But what they don't realize in our day, we came to the same town every week, and it's sold out. That's something that these guys don't really understand. You got to know how to work to get these people to come back and see you. That's right with David, you know, and finally learned that. David got him a little push in WWE, and then he went to TNA and ECW, and it's good. You know, it was to me, David turned out good. He's fixing. Here I am. Let's see, I'm younger than you, and you're what, 84? So, you know, I know David, here I am still wrestling. David's fixing to retire, but that's okay. You know, he got all he could out of the business, but still, I'm still here. I still love what I do. I have my school and teaching these young guys. I'm going to go until I can't go no more.
Bobby, you started to work in a tag team with Lord Stephen Regal, known as the Blue Bloods, and you were eventually joined by Squire David Taylor, and you were working as Earl Robert Eaton. What did you think of this
I
gimmick?
love that gimmick. I loved it. I spent a lot of money on that gimmick. For some reason.
Huh? What about the Queen?
Who?
The Queen.
The Queen?
You represented the Queen.
Yeah. You know I'm gonna go between Queen.
Who? The Queen. All right.
Queen and me.
Hey, I answered that question for you. Yes, no, and yes. All right, come on.
Ricky, around this time, you also made your final return to WCW. There, the Rock and Roll Express had matches with various teams like the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson. What did you think about this stint in WCW?
About what now?
About that stint in WCW?
But it was just another place to get a job. They paid us. Matter of fact, I just came in. They gave us a great payoff to put Ric Flair and Arn Anderson over. Another thing is to have a good match with them. They were trying to get ratings on their TV, and I'll never forget that because it was in Asheville, North Carolina, where Robert and I wrestled Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, and their TV ratings that night were 4 or 5. They hadn't had a 4 or 5 in a year, and it was good. Then, but you naturally say they beat us in the middle of the ring. I'm a businessman. It didn't matter. It was a world champion, Arn Anderson. But if they had sense enough, they'd have done something a lot better. But still, I guess they went with the ding-dongs.
Hunchbacks.
Hunchbacks. That's me. You started hunchbacks.
I ain't got much
Hell,
fun
we
to
really
go.
got to take a bump. We got to put nobody over.
Full of crap.
Why? Okay.
You ain't never put nobody over.
I'll put you over the top rope. Keep messing with me. You know I know karate, don't you? Hiya.
Bobby, as a Blue Blood, you worked with teams like the Nasty Boys, Harlem Heat, and the Stud Stable until you eventually split with Regal and Taylor. Did you have good chemistry as a team?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I just went as far as I could with it, whatever. Somebody didn't like it, you know.
Stretch. Just
Yeah.
a bit more about it.
Let's get over it, man. 48 years.
Bobby, I like you, man. I ain't seen you in a while.
Uh-huh.
Give us some sugar.
They, you know, we worked with Nasty Boys, which was a real exciting match. Sold out everywhere.
How did you?
I ain't remember
people
right.
you had? 4 small arenas. You
Ricky,
remember we used to wrestle with Buddy Wayne Hill in Memphis? We'd be in these towns, and And, but around this town, the place will be packed. You tell Buddy, I said, "Oh, Buddy, big house tonight." I said, no, just a lot of fat people out there. You hear that?
Yeah.
Well, you've been, in our business, in our days, meeting some of the promoters, some of the boys that ran town, man, what a trip.
Jim Cornette told him his town, when he runs wrestling in town, it's the best kept secret in town.
It's
He got hotter
kept,
than hell.
best kept secret is town. All right.
Ricky, in 1998, you joined the WWF as part of the NWA Invasion angle. You were brought in as NWA Tag Team Champions. You eventually brought the titles to the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. What did you think about working with Vince McMahon?
Well, I love working for Vince McMahon. The whole thing is, what you don't understand is, this is the boys taking care of the boys. At that time, I had no work. At that time, this is how people take care of each other. Didn't have a job. Jimmy Cornette got us a job. We was out. So he got us in there. I went into the thing with the NWA Invasion, me, Robert, and Barry Windham. And, you know, they, like I said, one got over like an outhouse because they didn't want it over. You know, there you lost
No.
and shuffled. You know, but I got paid. I enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed being here. You know, it was different. You know, Vince, you know, he paid you so much a week, then how many times you worked too. And, I mean, that's all it meant. I had to pay bills. I needed a job.
Bobby, after the breakup of the Blue Bloods, you started working as a trainer at WCW's power plant and as a road agent. Did you enjoy these jobs?
It was all right, to be honest with you.
You had a job at the power plant?
Yeah.
Were you training people?
I was there every day.
No wonder.
They already knew everything.
No wonder WCW died. I'm just kidding. It should have been great.
They had a nice facility there. I mean, the guys were making more money. I mean, two guys one day they had a big setup. I don't know if you ever seen them.
No.
They had 4 or 5 rings in there, and the office was there too. So, two guys, they were in competition with each other. Actually, you know, they went outside and had a race, like a 100-yard dash with each other for $100.
Who's that?
One of them's Johnny the Bull, and the other guy's named Mark Jr. Mark Jr. was the fastest white guy I ever seen. Some bitch could run.
Women is in competition for their job.
No, they just,
Just competition.
you know, competitive. You know?
Competitive.
And I mean, they just left them outside. And ran
I'd
out
go
there.
outside and race you for $5. Anyways.
I couldn't believe they went up $100 and got beat. You know, got beat. Mark Jr. beat him. But Bull was fast too. Damn. Pest. James did Harvard this damn job here, putting up with them. Cook's Pest Control.
Who you talking to, Bobby?
My friend James.
Well, ain't nobody out there.
You don't know James.
Was that your little make-believe friend?
Mm-hmm. Imaginary friend. You know who he is.
Okay.
Like your make-believe friend up in Chicago. But you didn't know I was sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I got you. Now you sleep. All right, what's
After leaving WCW and WWF, you both went into the independent circuit. Bobby, you wrestled on the independent circuit until 2013. Ricky, you still wrestle there today. Do you like working on the indies?
well, buddy? Let's get back to where we're going. You know, I didn't, and this is what I try to tell everybody, man, about getting your education. Everything. I was raised up in wrestling. That's all I knew. Right now, it's all I know. I love what I do. I love working independence, but I'm getting older. I'm getting where, you know, after a while, I mean, your time runs out. But that's what we have here. I love teaching. I love learning. You know, the guys learn. Can't wait till tonight, you know. Can't wait
At least
till
here at
tonight.
the school of Morton, they learn things. When the power plant, you couldn't, I mean, these guys had their own banker's hours.
Yeah.
You know, they make more money than any trainer.
Well, they had them on contracts, and the guys that could work like us, they didn't give us a contract. But the guys at the school they gave contracts to, they go there and work out and get there when they wanted to, and didn't give a shit what anybody else
Yeah.
thought. But I'd like to answer your question, yes, buddy. I love the independent circuit, and I'm gonna stay on it as long as I can.
What are some of your favorite matches that you've had on the independent circuit?
Some of my favorite matches I had. Well, you know what? The big angle that I built up with Kevin Nash. You know, I worked that for 10 years. I got on there and cussed him out on the internet, and here's everybody out there wondering, well, what'd you do this for? Well, because one day he's gonna get bored, and he'd bite on it, and by God, he did. Drew one of the biggest independent houses ever in our business. Made a hell of a payoff with it, and you know, people ask me, you know, I still hear it in the pants, God, you hate Kevin Nash. Yeah, y'all book another match between me and him if I can get paid that good. Yeah, that's what that's all about. You know, and I'll be with tonight. I will definitely, because I'll be enjoy myself tonight. Because for one more time, it's me and you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grab a copper slot. You take a big fucking slot.
I know the deal.
Right? Could. You ever put me over?
You know,
We go slower.
I got to deal with James Strange here.
You know what, Bobby? We're sitting in the wrestler. Should I go slower?
You know what it is?
Now that we've covered your careers up to tonight,
Careers.
we can talk about some other stuff. Who are some of your favorite people in the business to work with?
I got to say all the time. You know, on his good night. When he's got his hearing aid in, he's pretty good. You know.
You know, I like you because people out here love our business. I know there's some out there working with Bobby Eaton. Being there, Bobby. See, because we did go over stuff in the back. You called it all in the ring. I'm going to do my impersonation of Bobby Eaton calling the spot. Are we ready? Hey, Ricky. Yeah, Bobby. Hey, Ricky. Yeah, Bobby. Hey, Ricky. Why, Bobby? One time. Okay. Hey, Ricky. What, Bobby? Hey, Ricky. One tackle. Drop down. Leap over. Oh, no. Hey, Ricky. What, Bobby? That's a shoot. I ain't lying. Finally, one time he said something. He got pissed off at me. He says, it shot me off on the rope. He says, oh, you call it there. God damn it. Shot me off on the rope. I just took the rope on the other side. So that shit anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, Ricky. All right.
He only heard the spot, so he was going over. You never heard me. Ricky, can I slam you? Shit. Like tying the damn hog up somewhere. Get him off of me.
Like Velcro. At the Time champion, I got tired. Somebody to slam me so hard. I hear finally at the end of here, it's like I was Velcro. He's gonna slam me.
Yeah.
I stuck on his ass. Let me slam me, just lay me down. I'll sell that. Where we at, CJ?
Out of all the people you've worked, who was the least cooperative?
The least?
Yeah, least cooperative.
Hard to do business with?
People you've worked in the ring.
Okay, the least.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you just said. What are you talking about?
Okay. Killer Carl Krupp. I was a young kid breaking into business, and you know, man, I'm going over. I go to the ring. I go to the ring. I grab his arm. Oh, my sword. Damn. Okay. I go right, grab my head. Oh, my neck. Really? Okay. Oh, no, grab my leg. Okay.
These guys never took bumps anyway.
Okay. Oh, yeah, but I get the heat on me. Bam, I'm selling. Oh, goddamn, he's happy, low lucky. Bam, here. So I caught on that shit. And Jerry Jarrett, I never forget Jerry Jarrett told me one time, said, Ricky Morton, you're the smartest son of a bitch ever met in my life. He said, you out there, they didn't sell. They don't want to take no bumps.
Right.
Well, I tell them, all right, hey, suplex me. I'm going to kick out. Okay, I do this here. Everything they did to me, I kicked out. Then I get up and beat them with a small package. You hear me? Jerry said, you the smartest son of a bitch ever met in my life. He said, you ought to be the world champion.
That'd be hard to eat a small packaging.
Huh?
It probably was hard to small packaging.
Oh, I schooled Morton, killed a Carl Krupp, and old grouchy son of a bitch. I loved him, but he's a grouchy old fucker, wasn't he? Like Bobby Eaton. Who you at, CJ?
Bobby, you've been called one of the nicest guys in the business. Who are some other wrestlers with a good reputation?
Say it again, Father Time always messing with me.
Bobby, you've been called one of the nicest guys in the business. Who are some other wrestlers with a good reputation?
Father Time's got a pretty good reputation, him and who?
Oh, do we? Boy, that took a long time to answer that. You know, I was doing an interview with y'all, with him and Brian the other night, and they kept wanting me. I said, "Hell, if I say something bad about him, I get heat. I can't do it."
Some of the older guys when I broke in were like Lynn Rossi, you know him.
Oh, yes.
His daddy, Paul Warren.
My dad at the Hall of Fame thing over there.
His daddy was a tough son of a gun, boy. I seen him get out of the ring, go up in the ball field and beat somebody's ass. That guy hit me with a dirt ball.
Dirt club.
I'm selling it. Then Paul got out of the ring. If kicked his ass, got in the ring, didn't miss a count. 5, 6.
Oh, they did that shit all the time. But then,
About that big. Your daddy.
yeah, he's short, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Fine.
You wouldn't know it. You make a bad mistake. Judging that book by its cover.
Yeah, I know it.
I've seen him in action a bunch of times.
Oh, man. Well, you had to then.
Not everybody has as great a reputation as Bobby. Is there anyone that either of you has actual heat with?
To have actual heat with? You know, I don't know. I mean, everybody had a few words. See, then but everybody always made up. This is my thing, you know. When you back in our day, the boys, we took care of each other. We depended on each other. Now, if you got hot at them, it was all right to cut an interview, but not to touch. But a lot, you didn't see a lot. You know, some guys I didn't get along with. You know, but once you got their attention, they did. And I don't like to mention names either. I did say one thing. I come in the dressing room. We was down in Texas, and this is just a story. And I know, sorry, because I can't mention names. I don't like to do that. When the boys come in, he was arguing with somebody, and he looked over at me, and he told me, he says, "You think you can whoop my ass?" I says, "No, I don't think I can whoop your ass. I know I'll whoop your ass." I think the weight that Bruiser Brody was sitting there. And that's why, because what, with a 5-pound weight, I picked that son of a bitch up through as hard as I could, hit him in the chest. Because I knew it, and boy, and Bruiser Brody grabbed me and said, "Oh, goddamn, get the fuck out of here." And after that, you know, you got to set. You know, it ain't no rules to fighting. We don't need to fight with each other, but when you let somebody know you don't take no shit off of them, they'll leave you alone. Because they just don't want to fight them and bother fighting with you. You know, and so, you know, that's too much trouble to fight.
Is there anybody you got heat with, Bobby?
Don't think
Me?
so. Besides him.
You got heat in me. So, man, so that
I
funny.
don't know nobody.
Hey, Bill
What was your-
Dundee.
what was your favorite
He
territory?
hated me.
Hey.
What was your favorite territory to work in?
I'm partial to Tennessee, New Gillis territory. Jerry.
You know, our small territories, everybody always goes back to where you started. I love Smoky Mountain, but I loved, it's part of the time of the business, you can't even explain this to me. And like I was telling you earlier, that you sold out towns every week, is to go to Memphis every Monday night. And at Mid-South Coliseum, what did it hold, 10,000 people probably?
Yeah, something like that. That's what they average in there.
Sold out every week. It's to go out and experience this in Louisville. All these towns every week sold out. And to go into Memphis on a Friday night, because you did TV there and all the fans do it, and they know where you stay at, and you get to the hotel room and it's like Woodstock. There's 20,000 people out there, man, and God, it was just like that every week for years. But now, you know, you're a young kid, you're enjoying all that, man, it's unbelievable.
Bobby, you recently had some health problems. What's your current state of health?
I'm fine now, you know, take my medicine. you know.
Look here, Rich,
Look, what am I gonna do here?
here, man.
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, that was a long statement.
I'm not only going to it.
Okay, well, hold on, just so happen I have the document sheet here. Well, I'm a certified alcoholic. I quit drinking, no, I did. 5 o'clock this morning. How about you, Mom?
4:30.
Really?
I beat you.
You know, one thing I did accomplish, though, and I did like to talk about, I quit smoking cigarettes.
Good.
I smoked cigarettes, I can tell I did too. But I gave my Molly career up a long time ago. I smoked 3 packs a day for 30-something years, and I quit.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen happen in wrestling?
Wow. Caught me off guard. I had to think about that. I've seen a lot of funny things. Seen a lot of crazy things.
Crazy, funny, whatever you want to tell us about.
What do you think, Bob?
One of the craziest things I ever seen was Terry Gordy. You know, working for Nick Gillis. He hit the ropes and the ropes broke. Something broke up under. And he fell up under and them ring about this far to miss his head.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I remember. You remember that time we were in Bowling Green, Kentucky? It's crazy. You was talking about we had a wrestling bear there, and Terry Gordy. That bear, I hated that bear. I was scared of it. Besides, it stunk. And that bear was standing up in the middle of the ring, and Terry Gordy come up behind me and grabbed me and pushed me at that bear. You was there, and I looked at that bear, went poof, wrapped around me, my face was like, and it fell down on top of me, and it couldn't get up. And finally, I got out, and when I did, I looked, and wasn't none of the wrestlers in the ring. That's all on the floor, just laughing their ass off. Except for me, I'm cut. You about that building heard me cuss. I'll kill you, son of a bitch. Sticky ass. You been around a bear like that? Dude, he's taller than me. He'd stand up, be as high as that ceiling. I'm not kidding you.
Well, I
12
think the
feet
bear
tall.
was breeding nice at all, to be honest with you. That's why they don't use them no more.
Yeah, it's,
He was outside the VIP club every night. I come out 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
well, that bear.
Yeah, people come out, throw drinks on him, cigarettes. The guys had him out there while Eaton was in there drinking.
Did you drink?
Yeah, well, I did. Drinks I got.
What made you decide to become a pro wrestler?
What now?
What made you decide to become a pro wrestler?
I mean, I've always enjoyed watching wrestling. I'm a sports fan, football fan, you know, baseball. It's more good enough to play with sports.
You know, somebody asked me one time, says, Ricky Morton, how'd you ever get smart in the business? I said, I watched Bobby Eaton work. What? Why?
This ain't no roast.
Why? Do you know what's something that gets in your blood? You're a kid. It's just like you come to my wrestling school and to answer the same question, what you come for? You want to be a wrestler? That's, you know, it's one thing. It's the only way I know how to answer that.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to become a wrestler because I want to be a wrestler. Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Who do you think taught you the most about the wrestling business?
Me, Tojo Yamamoto taught me the most. Real good psychology.
Tojo, he taught a lot of people. I was green. I worked with Tojo a lot when I was young. I learned a lot. And you know, and I was telling somebody the other day, I found an old tape. Gosh almighty. It's Tojo Yamamoto, Lynn Rossi. You know, and I forgot, you know, you think back, you Tojo how big, you know, you thought, God, he was a monster. You know, he wasn't that tall.
What big guy?
Him and Lynn Rossi, my daddy's refereeing, and you gotta understand, here, you know, they didn't have music, and Tojo standing with wooden shoes on, with his robe. And every time my daddy would turn his back, Tojo would do this. He didn't stick his head this time, that's all he did. Pull it back, look here, and the people were losing their mind. And my daddy turned around and he'd stand back like this, right? Then finally they had the match. You know, Tojo, everything he did, you know, he worked.
Yeah, good psychology.
He'd sneak up on them, right their back, go back over and Lynn Rossi's cell like a son of a bitch anyway. But on the finish, You know, they kept doing that, and my daddy's referee, Rossi makes the comeback, got him in the corner. My daddy pushes it back, and Ojo reached down and grabs that wooden shoe, and the whole east section came in the fucking room.
Yeah. See the bunch of
You think I'm too bullshit? Yeah, I just reached down and picked the shoe up. Here they all come. Held my daddy and Ojo and fighting like hell. Get out of that ring, man. Liv Rossi like me over the corner. I used to leave y'all up.
Yeah.
I used to watch some of the greatest riots. And I'm serious, I did. People believed, not just one night, but this is every night. And that's one of the rules that Bill Watts made. That's the reason he made this. You couldn't leave this building to the matches room. And the reason he did that for is because, dude, I mean, we had people hit the ring. And I ain't talking about one or two. I'm talking sometimes there'll be 10, 15 people come through them ropes and watch y'all out there. And I couldn't do nothing because all I could do was sit in the turnbuckle on the mat and watch. I didn't miss shit either. I had to close.
You're fine if you did, we would.
Oh, yes.
We would help you guys.
I know it, the bad guys.
What are some of the best ribs that you ever saw pulled?
Oh, I've done this one before too, but one of the best ones when they used to bring with Jimmy Cornette, matter of fact, they brought up, goddamn, Doug Dillinger, police officer, and he did something that he got the police officer to come in the dressing room, arrest Jimmy for excessive rape. You remember that?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. They come in there to get him, and baby doll's over there. And buddy, I'm telling you, it's just, she got the laughing. And they got him handcuffed. What are you laughing at, you goddamn whore? This ain't talking. I'm going, son of a bitch, boy. He's cutting interviews on her and everybody around there. And it was a rib. I pulled that rib before, too.
I was there one night when you did it, one guy up in Spartanburg or somewhere.
That was Jeff Lewis.
Yeah.
Remember that? Jeff Lewis.
What?
Jeff Lewis, he was one of the Rise guys on the radio. And this fucker called me like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sound asleep. Same thing like we did. Remember when James, my car broke down the other day, I just left it. You see my old car right there? I left it. James had it towed over here. I took it out. So he called me 4 o'clock in the morning and asked me, act like he was a police officer about my car on the side of the road. Did you leave a car on the side of the road? Blah, blah, blah. And, I got kind of pissed off. Shut up. I didn't know, but I was lying on the radio. So, all right, you want to do a rib? I get a rib. I did a little research on him. I found out his real name and one of his old girlfriends. So I got one of my buddy Ricky's a sheriff down there. But he had the SWAT team. They come in there. And this guy, he ought to won an Academy Award the day I'm a police officer. He walked in with Jeff Lewis, and I forgot Jeff's last name, but he asked him, he sat down real quiet beside us and said, you Jeff so-and-so? He said, yeah. He goes, listen, there's this girl out of Asheville, North Carolina, and he mentioned her name. He said, yeah, I know her. He says, yeah, we got a warrant on you for statutory rape. Oh my God, he turned a different color. I don't give a bullshit what he tell anybody else. And the guy told me, says, listen, we can do this. We just get up real nice and easy and walk out of here and nobody know nothing. He said, or I could drag your ass right through all these people because you're going to jail. Holy shit. And I'm sitting down, and I'm sitting over beside him, and I reached over to him. I says, damn, Jeff. I said, buddy, you better get you a good lawyer. Or don't ever fuck with Ricky Morton again. Oh, yeah, man. And that police officer busted out laughing. And then, but son, I just ribs. But I got that when I seen it done on Jimmy Cornette.
Bobby, you have any ribs you want?
No.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Look for it, buddy.
What's that? What did he ask you?
I asked him if he had any ribs that he wanted to tell us about.
And Bobby never did pull ribs. I seen a lot of guys do. One thing I don't ever do is mess with people. But I seen, not some of them wasn't ribs. I seen some guys get people with bags.
Oh, yeah. Cornette.
Dude, yeah, guys that didn't like them, like shit in their bags, shit in their shoes. I remember I was leaving the territory back when I was going to Texas, and I came back and all my shit was stapled on my